A warm welcome to The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. As many as 85 people have been killed in one of the strongest typhoons to hit the Philippines. Democrat Zoran Mamdani wins the New York mayoral seat, upsetting U.S. President Donald Trump. Plus, South Africa is ready to host this year's G20 summit. Let's begin The World Today. Scores of people have been killed after Typhoon Kaumegi hit the Philippines. Authorities have put the figure at 85, but say that they could be higher. And the strong winds of the typhoon ripped through central Philippines, causing damage. Entire towns and villages were flooded. People have been sheltering on rooftops, while cars and shipping containers have been swept through the streets. The typhoon, locally named Tino, has weakened since making landfall early on Tuesday, but it continues to bring winds of more than 80 miles per hour. It is forecast to move across the Visayas Islands and out over the South China Sea by today. To a different kind of tragedy, this time in the northwestern part of the Indian state of Rajasthan, Jaipur. At least 19 people were killed, more than 50 others injured after a reportedly drunk driver crashed 17 vehicles on the busy Delhi-Ajmer highway. Pictures from the scene showed mangled cars lining the highway. Footage showed the truck's crushed front cab by the roadside and several motorbikes trapped beneath its wheels following the horrific incident. Witnesses at the scene say the driver appeared heavily intoxicated and continued to drive despite multiple collisions, plowing into vehicles and pedestrians. The 5-kilometer rampage finally ended when the truck crashed into a trailer. Authorities have launched an investigation into the cause, which is suspected to be speeding and reckless driving. Senior officers clarified that brake failure was not the cause of the crash and confirmed the driver was indeed intoxicated. And in the United States, at least 9 people were killed when a UPS cargo plane crashed while taking off from an airport in Louisville, Kentucky on Tuesday evening. The plane's 3 crew members are said to be likely among the dead after the freight plane exploded as it departed Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport at around 5:15 local time. Another 11 people were injured when the plane crashed, sending thick plumes of smoke. Black smoke, that is, into the sky. Officials warned that people suffered very significant injuries in the incident and the death toll could rise.
Scott, can you hear me? Scott, can you hear me? Yeah, at some point we're going to...
Saying in the United States, it's clear now the Democratic candidate Zoran Mamdani will become New York City's first Muslim mayor following his win at Tuesday's polls. The 34-year-old will also become the youngest person in over a century to lead the largest city in the United States. His win, however, has brought no joy to President Donald Trump, who says the election results are not good for Republicans. The U.S. president had threatened to cut New York City's federal funding if Mamdani beat independent candidate Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. In his first interview since being elected, Mamdani says his victory gives him a mandate to pursue an ambitious affordability agenda, aiming to transform the most expensive city in the U.S. into one that's affordable. He also plans to introduce a flat tax of 2% for New Yorkers who make more than $1 million per year and to raise corporate tax rates in New York to 11.5%, matching the top end of New Jersey's range. President Trump accused Democrats of cheating in the election.
Alongside Jewish New Yorkers and does not waver in the fight. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership. We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of it. We chose hope together. Hope over tyranny. Hope over big money and small ideas. Hope over despair. We won because New Yorkers allowed themselves to hope that the impossible could be made possible. Anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him. It is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This will be an age where New Yorkers expect from their leaders a bold vision of what we will achieve, rather than a list of excuses for what we are too timid to attempt. This city belongs to you. Thank you.
As for supporters of Mamdani, their joy and excitement could not be contained at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater following the Democratic Socialists' win. Jubilant crowds cheered, embraced, and waved campaign banners as the results were announced.
I feel great today. It's the first time we are electing a real progressive mayor, someone who has an agenda to make the city more affordable, someone who really cares about street vendors, our community and the people I work with and I serve. I was a street vendor myself, and it was very rare to see a mayor who cares explicitly about vendors saying that he's going to move things forward, he's going to open up the permits, he's going to streamline the process and support the street vendor reform that we've been fighting for a very long time.
So excited, super hopeful, super grateful. Just feel so lucky that so many people came out and voted for someone that's going to be doing the right thing and is a good person to the core.
Help people who are not making billions of dollars and millions of dollars in this city. It warms my heart that we're actually seeing change. After the Democratic Party has screwed over so many other people who, honestly, were trying to help the working man. I mean, free Wi-Fi through the city, maybe free subway, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. But just the fact that New York City has chosen this as a path to go down, it warms my heart.
It feels epic. I feel like this is everything we've ever waited for, and I'm so excited. He's an immigrant, he's Muslim, and he just represents us all. I'm so excited. Something the city really needed.
This campaign and Zoran have given me so much joy and hope in these I got involved in April, and I kind of flung myself into it because in this horrific hellscape that we're living in.
Really what this represents is a break with the status quo. I mean, you saw all the money in the world being thrown into this race, and people didn't go for it. Now, do I think that this is replicable across the country? Probably not. But what it does show is that no matter what, no matter who's running, any alternative, people are hungry for it. They want to change.
The elections aside, the U.S. government faces an even bigger domestic problem. The government shutdown is now the longest in U.S. history, surpassing the previous record in 2019, entering its 35th day of the funding lapse. The Senate failed for the 14th time to advance a House-passed continuing resolution to end the stalemate on Tuesday. The vote was 54-44, with no new Democrats crossing the aisle to advance it. And despite the outcome, lawmakers from both parties have hinted at emerging contours of a deal to end the stalemate, possibly as early as this week. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters he thinks there are people who realize this has gone on long enough and it's time to end it. Some Republicans have said they expect Democrats to be more willing to vote to reopen the government following Tuesday's election.
So as you know, we are in the midst of a disastrous Democrat-created government shutdown, and it is Democrat-created, but I don't think they're getting really the blame that they should. That's now officially the longest shutdown in American history. The Democrat radicals in the Senate have shown zero interest in reopening the government, and I don't think they'll act so soon. A lot of people disagree. I've been saying for the last 30 days, we've had 4 or 5 different points. Yes, sir, they're going to get it right now. We should have it done in a day. I've heard that about 4 times. I heard it after Kings. You know, they said I was a king. And I heard it after Kings. I heard it after a couple of other moments in time. And I said, no, I don't believe so. And now I heard it's after the election. I don't believe so. I think they will. I think they're kamikaze pilots. I just got back from Japan. I talked about the kamikaze pilots. I think these guys are kamikaze. They'll take down the country if they have to. So I don't think so. Millions of Americans are going to be without SNAP benefits. And I will say about SNAP benefits, so when I was president, we had $7 billion worth, and now they have many times that, because these benefits were given to anybody that asked. And they're up to, I hear, just many times, 47 billion. So it wasn't the purpose of SNAP. It was for people that really had problems, down and out, people that really had problems. But during Biden, they gave it to anybody that wanted it. I think it's something you have to talk about because the numbers are incredible. But countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increasing strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it up. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit.
U.S. President Donald Trump. In the meantime, White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt has commented on President Trump's threats of military action against Nigeria, saying the U.S. will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and take military action to wipe out Islamic terrorists.
Caroline, President Trump has threatened to go into Nigeria guns a-blazing if Nigeria's government does not stop the killing of Christians in that country. Has the White House heard back from Nigeria's government on this threat?
As the president stated, Michael, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the United States will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may take action to wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities, especially against innocent women and children. I don't have any further announcements on that for you today, but I can assure you the President of the United States is watching this situation unfold very closely, as is our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Meanwhile, the EU has reiterated its support for the Nigerian federal government in the fight against insecurity and insurgency. This was a call of the body's ambassador to Nigeria, Gauthier Mignon, in an interview with me yesterday. He gave the EU's position on the state of security in Nigeria. Mr. Mignon said the situation in the country is influenced by several factors, including all groups of people and religion, affecting all groups of people and religion.
If you look at who are the victims of violence in Nigeria, well, all communities are, all religious communities, Christians, Muslims, others. And sometimes you can have some attacks, some discriminations based on religions, but in many other cases, they are based on other reasons. And so I think it's important to distinguish the different cases, not to generalize. But of course, attacks on the basis of religion also exist and are despicable. So our position is that all communities, all beliefs deserve respect and protection. And so this is what we are trying to support Nigeria to do. And when you look at the overwhelming majority of Nigerians, what they long for is peaceful coexistence between ethnic groups, between religious groups, religious communities. And the federal government is itself a multi-confessional, multi-ethnic body governed by the Constitution of Nigeria, which is not recognizing any religion as superior to others and giving guarantees to the freedom of belief and religion.
Still ahead on The World Today. A major culinary breakthrough happening in space. These Chinese astronauts now discovering they can bake chicken and meat in space. Stay with us. Welcome back to The World Today. Controversy has erupted within the German government about whether refugees from Syria in Germany can be expected to return to their home country now that the civil war in Syria has ended. Has followed a visit by the German foreign minister to Damascus last week. For more on this, we're joined by the DW's Hans Brandt in Berlin. Hans, great to see you. What happened when the German foreign minister was in Syria recently?
Yes, indeed, he was for discussions with the government there about how to set up the return of Syrian refugees from Germany. And what then happened is that Johannes Wadefuhl, the foreign minister, went to see one of the suburbs of Damascus, the capital of Syria, that had been particularly affected by the war. And he was shocked by the extent of the destruction there and said that from his point of view, nobody really could be expected to return to such a suburb, that it was not possible for people to live in such destruction. That in turn caused a controversy within his governing conservative party, the Christian Democrats here in Germany, who said that he was undermining their position of being hard on migration, on making sure that any migrant who was in Germany for just a day too long, as it were, would have to be sent back to his home country. The conservatives are very much under pressure from the right-wing populists here in Germany, who've made migration their central issue. So they feel that the foreign minister has undermined their strength on this issue, and in fact there are people within the party that are calling for his resignation.
Right, but surely the question is not that complicated, is it, Hans? The war in Syria has ended, and so the refugees have to go home?
Yes, indeed, that is in fact the situation as it is, but it ends up being a little bit more complicated than that. Syria itself is not necessarily prepared to take in hundreds of thousands of people. That's what these government discussions are about at the moment. Who pays for their return? Will they be able to find a place to live, a place to work? Will the government there be able to basically finance that situation? And here in Germany, too, some of the refugees are saying, well, you know, we would like to go and have a look and see whether we can find jobs there, whether we can find accommodation there. But that's not possible. That's not allowed by the German laws. Once they are back in their country, they cannot come back to Germany. And at the same time, there is this discussion on the government level, and there are these issues of domestic policy here in Germany. So it's pretty much more complicated than simply saying the war is over and people have to go back.
But Hans, those refugees from Syria have now integrated into German society. So can we say they're part of Germany now?
Well, what happened 10 years ago was the Prime Minister at the time, Angela Merkel, basically opened Germany to refugees from Syria, and hundreds of thousands, almost 1 million, are in Germany now. Many of them, in fact, are now Germans, so they cannot be sent back, and many of them play an important role in German society. For instance, there are thousands of Syrian doctors working in German hospitals, and Germany doesn't have enough doctors of its own. It really needs doctors from foreign countries to help in this situation. So simply sending everybody who is from Syria back to Syria is not really an option, even for German society. It's a very complicated and it's a very politically charged issue. But in the end, I think some sort of compromise will have to be found, and humanitarian issues such as the question of whether or not people can actually live in Syria will have to play a role in the end.
Hans Brandt from the DW in Berlin. Thank you again for the explainer. Well, back here in Africa, preparations are underway in South Africa ahead of the 2025 G20 summit. With everything on track to welcome global delegates, South Africa's Gauteng Premier Bayanza Lesufi claims the province is ready to leverage the event as a key investment platform, particularly to boost tourism. Les Soufi was providing an update on efforts to enhance service delivery across Gauteng, focusing on infrastructure, water, roads, energy and disaster management. The G20 summit is set to take place at the Nasrec Expo Center from November 22nd to the 23rd.
We are also taking advantage of this event to boost tourism in our province. We are of the strong view that majority of visitors will start to stream in as early as next week. So we are therefore in advanced discussion with our major tourist areas, not only to prepare, but to send a strong message that will allow people to come back beyond the G20. The G20 Leaders Summit will bring a large influx of visitors, including heads of states, delegates, media, personnel, thus creating a demand for hotels, transportation, local businesses, particularly in the hospitality and retail sectors. In our discussion with the hospitality industry, our major hotels are almost full, thus bringing the economy of Gauteng at a better level.
So they're trying to bake chicken in space. Well, that's a new pastime now for astronauts aboard one of the Chinese spaceships. They can enjoy a hot meal of chicken and meat barbecue style. That's all thanks to this breakthrough in orbit cooking made possible by a new hot air oven. This footage we're looking at captured the TSS showing crew members from the Shenzhou 20 mission celebrating the arrival of Shenzhou 21 technonauts with a celebratory orbit barbecue. A 6-man crew is seen placing the chicken and meat, oh it looks delicious, into the hot air oven before enjoying the gourmet dish aboard the aircraft, the spacecraft, beg your pardon. One of the astronauts testifies a hot air oven can truly cool a meal in space. It's a world first. You can really cook your meats. We're going to see that in a minute. And you could also cook your chicken. Oh dear. It really does look delicious. I'm sure it smells good too. He explains a purification device has been installed into a hot air heating unit, which is equivalent to installing a range hood inside the oven itself. When cooking, it can absorb the particles and carbon compounds produced, so it will not pollute the space station's atmospheric environment. I see a win-win, and that story has officially made me hungry. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.